Hi, I'm Sandy Genovese, and we are making a birthday card today. And this is what it looks like closed up. You can see that it's a birthday card. And actually, I'm going to write with a white pen some more message here that makes it more personal. But when you push, this arrow is indicating to push here, this then becomes the box that is also a card in a box. And I sometimes fold the other way so that it will really kind of stand out and really look nice on display. And you can see that mine is filled with candles and with streamers, and my message, which says, we're gonna need more candles because I have a lot of friends that are my age, and so we do need a lot of candles. We can set the smoke detector off just with all the candles on a birthday cake. The way that this works is the dimension is created by having these layers that inside, these dividers. And oddly enough, once you know the dimensions of where to cut and fold, it is really amazing how quickly this goes together. So easily that I used this style for my Christmas card last year, which I'll show you when we're all finished. But let's start first with how to make this. We need first to create the card itself, not the layers, not the dividers inside, but the actual card. So in order to do that, what I've got is paper, and my paper is 6 3/4 inches wide and 9 1/2 inches long. And what you want to do first is you want to do score marks. So the 6 3/4 inch dimension, you want to score exactly at the halfway point. So that's been scored. And then you want to come in from one end and measure 2 1/4 and score. And then another 2 1/4 and score again. 2 1/4 and score again, another 2 1/4 and score again, and what you'll be left with at the very end is a 1/2 inch that will be the tab. So 2 1/4 inch score marks until the 1/2 inch that will be the remainder at the end. Now we're going to cut off, I don't normally mark this in white, but I wanted you to see the fold, the score line that's here and the score line that's here is what I'm going to remove. So I've kind of put some white marks there to show you just with my scissors. Instead of right at the 1/2 point, I'm going to come in and take a little wedge out just because in the assembly it's a little easier if it's not exactly on that fold line. And then I'm going to cut, and I don't know, in case you can't see it, I'm going to fold, and that way you can really see this score line is what I'm cutting along. So I'm cutting off that section that I had marked with my white pen. I need to come in here a little bit more. And when I pull this out, you'll see what I mean. Instead of cutting exactly on this score line, I cut just a little bit of a triangle wedge out so that when I fold this, it will go together better. But on each of these top score lines, I only want to cut to this middle score. So I am going to, you can use the paper trimmer, which I brought here and I was going to do it, but if you don't have a paper trimmer, it's just as easy to find the score and cut these top sections. So not where the tab is, but this part, you're going to cut along each of your score lines until you hit that middle score, and that's where you stop. So you go to the middle and stop, and the final one the same thing. So when you have all of your cuts, now it's time to fold it into the actual card or the box itself. So I'm going to make all mountain folds. I'm going to mountain fold along that first score that was my tab, and I'm going to mountain fold, and I like to lay it down and make sure that my scoring was accurate by lining it up with the bottom to make sure that my scores are straight. So I'm folding on each score line, but I'm making sure that my scores are straight by aligning it with the bottom. And then the final score line, fold there. So you've now folded on all of the scores just to this midway point. I'm going to add adhesive on this tab, and then all I have to do is close, I think my adhesive is overlapping a little bit, fold on this score and fold on this score, and they will overlap and then press so that adhesive can adhere. And you're going to have a cool base to the card. Now you need to mark that one of these is going to be the back. So I think I'll just use a Post-it note to indicate to myself this one's going to be the back. The reason I'm marking the back is this is the only one where I'm not going to fold down. I am going to fold down what will be the side, the front, using the score lines that are already there, and the other side. But I want the back to remain not only as support, but it's also, if you look at my card, it's going to be where I'm going to put the message. So I think that it's helpful, for me anyway, to start, as I'm working with my card, to mark with a Post-it note or something to remind me that this is the back and this one I'm not going to fold. And this Post-it note is so old that I don't know if it's going to stay on there, but we'll try. We'll give it a shot. Now, if you want to match exactly what I did, if you look back here, you can see I used white dots. This was wrapping paper. You can add with a white pin. I've created white stripes with white correction tape. All kinds of other patterns can be used and to attach to these portions. But to actually create the mechanism so that it works, we need to look at how to do the interior. What you need to do is you need to cut out 3 squares, and the squares need to be 3 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches because they're square. Come in a 1/2 inch from 2 ends and put a score line. So I've scored at 1/2 inch from this end, and I've scored at 1/2 inch from this end, and I'm using my score lines to create a Z fold. So I'm going to create what's a mountain fold here and create, I'm flipping it over so that I can create, it's easier for me to fold for the camera to see a mountain fold, but you can see how you end up with 1 mountain and 1 valley fold, or what we would call a Z fold. You do this 3 times because there's going to be 3 dividers in there. So you end up with 3 of these dividers that are 3 1/4 inch squares with 1/2 inch ends that are folded. Now you're going to put adhesive, and you're going to put adhesive, find the mountain fold and put adhesive. And then I'm going to flip it over so that I have my other mountain fold exposed and put adhesive, so that I'm always putting adhesive next to the mountain fold. And now I'm going to just slide it into the box. And I start with the back because I can tuck it right against the edge. That way I make sure that this is flush with the back of the card, and then every divider that I put in from that point forward will be straight. So if I start with the back, and I'll try to do this so you can see, and I'm going to place this so that it tucks against the back. So I'm going to slide it in until it is flush against the back, and I'm going to press, and I'll come down to the bottom so you can see I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to press. So if I make sure, I'm trying to do this so you can see that I have both of these, the top and the bottom, and I can, with my fingers, I can get in there and I can press that adhesive so that it fastens. Now the adhesive on this portion, this other tab, all I have to do is lay this down and flatten it out and press, and it will be attached, and it will be attached in such a way that even if I fold going the other direction, either way, you can see I now have that first divider is sitting in there perfectly. And once you have the first one in there, each of the next 2 dividers are just going to tuck right against the previous one. So I'm going to repeat the same process. The adhesive goes in the same places, right against the mountain fold on the dividers. And then I'm going to turn it my way so I can see enough to slide this in, and I'm aligning it so hopefully you can see I'm going to tuck it right against my first divider. And if I use that as my guide and my first divider was straight, then my next one will be straight. I need to come down to the bottom and tuck it in and make sure that it's tucked against the divider as well. So I have both. And then once again, once I have this edge attached, if I close it and place pressure, and then fold it the other direction. It's going to be attached, and now if I close these down, 2 of the rows are attached. I'm going to do the exact same thing with the 3rd row. And the 3rd one, because of the dimensions, it should attach right up flush with the end, the other side of the card. Fold going both directions. And when you open it up, you can see that what I have is the dividers, all 3 dividers inside. Now it's just a question of adding in all of the embellishments. And I find that it's easiest to start with the back. So if you look at this, you can see that I've got candles, and then the next row, I've got a streamer and candles. I won't stop to do every row, but let's put a few in so you can see how easy this goes together. So let me start by putting some of the layers in there so you can see how this works. What I want to do is start with the back. It's easiest to start with the back and work my way forward. So the back one, I start with 2 candles in the back row. The back row candles are actually sitting on this base. So I can put adhesive, if I want to, on most of the whole candle. For most of these, I'm actually going to have the candle, I have to think about how this faces you. For most of these, the candles are going to be only attached at the very base to the divider. Now, notice that this one, I'm going to actually tilt this because I think it looks kind of good. Tilted. I need to make sure I don't go up over this edge, so I'm going to have to come down enough that I clear this. And the same with this one. I have to clear the top. And I have to clear this side. And let me show you why. When this closes, it's going to close like this. So I have all of this space here where this, if I wanted to, this candle could be tilted way like this. I don't want him that tilted, but he could be. So to fill in the whole space and have candles really look like they're coming from every direction, you can use that space. But each time you fold, to make sure that when it's closed up, nothing sticks out the top and nothing sticks out the sides. So there's the 2 candles in the back row. Then the next row, I have a large candle that's kind of showing in the middle, and you'll notice I'm only can put adhesive on the bottom section because it's only going to attach to the divider. And so if I want it to look like, I have to face it a little towards me so I can see. I want it to look like it's sitting between those other 2 candles. It's going to look like so. And then I want to create some streamers. So if I decide that I want one streamer that goes, let's say this way, and one streamer, let me pick another one that can go the other way, I have 2 choices. I can place them against the candle here, or I can tuck them against the next divider up. So either way works fine. It depends where you're going to place it, where you put adhesive. So if I'm going to put adhesive, if I want this divider to go to the back of this, I'm going to place my adhesive so that it's on what would be the front, because I'm going to tuck it in, and I'll show you. That's easier than talking about it. I'm going to place it on the same divider with the candle, but from the back side, because that way, no matter how you look at the card, you'll see the whole candle, and the streamer won't be cutting it off from the front. I need to make sure that I'm clearing this edge and this edge, and then I'm going to press down on the adhesive, and I now have that streamer. I'm going to do a similar kind of thing, but with the red streamer that's going to go, oops, good thing that I use removable. I need to put it on the other side because I want it to look like it's facing the other direction. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come back behind, and this time I need to look at what it's going to look like folded up. I have to set this down so that let me see if I can do it like this so you can see. I need to make sure that I don't go too tall and that I don't go too wide, so that when it's closed, I'm going to get it, I have to look at this to see, get it in position, and then I will turn it so you can see. So I'm going to make sure that I clear both edges right about there. So here you can see I have the red one sitting so that when it's folded in the closed position, I don't go over this edge and I don't go over this edge. Now it's time to build candles and streamers in the next layer. So the next layer I have a pink one, and once again the adhesive is only going to go on the bottom. So I have one basically roughly in this position, and the one that I have next to it, I thought I would show you. Basically, the way that I built the candle was I started with the candle shape. I added some deeper yellow just for more dimension, and then some of them are just patterned paper, but others I made by creating stripes and polka dots. And sometimes the easiest way to make polka dots is to just use your hole punch and then put a deeper color to show through, or a lighter color, but a contrasting color. So you create polka dots by punching out of, in this example, a lighter purple that's going to sit on top of a candle that I've already cut. Let me use my tweezers so my fingers are out of the way. Out of a darker purple, and you get the effect of the polka dots. So I'll now put adhesive on the back of this little guy and attach it. This time I think I do want it really, I want to make sure that he doesn't go off the edge, but he doesn't. So you can see how I keep adding in each of the dividers all of candles and streamers, all the whatever theme that you want, until you get to the front. The only other thing that I did was I added my message on just a strip that I added to what will be the front flap, and then I added 2 additional candles to the back along with an arrow. I used an arrow that was a sticker, but if you don't have a sticker that's already an arrow shape, there are lots of stickers that really easily become arrows. I'm going to take this square and slice it on the diagonal to get the tip of what will be my arrow, and I'm going to place it on the card where I'm wanting the person who receives this, where I want them to push. And then I'll take a little strip that coordinates well color-wise to create what looks like the arrow where I want them to push. And then I just used a white pen, and since I can't print upside down, well I can, but it wouldn't be very pretty. I'm just going to write push, and I'm using my white pen because I've got the black paper. So you've got your message. You could then, remember I marked this as my back. This is because this is the one where I didn't fold on my the one score line. All the others are actually folded down when it's on display. So this one stays solid. So you can put designs on this back. You can add candles. Once again, I used the happy birthday, but all of this can be done, you know, as you're finishing up, so that you have the insides and the outsides developed. Well, it's really kind of cool how easy it is to change the theme. And when I did this last year, I made the same style of card, but here it is. And you can see that with this one, instead of birthdays, candles, I did flowers. And since it's spring, you might want to do just graphic flowers. And then I have my streamers, I think, are a little skinnier. This is where I use the white correction tape to create the stripes, which is an easy way to get striped paper without having to buy pattern paper. Because it went together so easy, I said I use this for my Christmas card. Look, here is the one that I did for Christmas. Once again, this is the one that was the back panel, so it's not going to get folded. So you can put your message right on here, your arrow with your message telling them to push. And you can see that I've used streamers and stars because my message says something about having a stellar holiday. Actually, I say have a heavenly holiday and a stellar new year. And so I've used the angel for the heavenly reference, and the star because it's stellar. You know, it always surprises me how easy these cards are to make, and wow, they sure do look great on display.